It has been said that determining how animals orient themselves using Earth's magnetic fields can be even more difficult than finding a needle in a haystack. It is like finding a needle in a stack of needles. It's known as the last sense that we effectively know nothing about. Many physicists have contributed to the theory of magnetoreception, which posits that the Earth's magnetic field can influence living things in the way that they see, feel, and function. It all started in 1831 when a man named Michael Faraday explained to the world that a changing magnetic field can induce a current in a circuit, the phenomenon known as electromagnetic induction. This basically means that a changing magnetic field makes electrons move, and this movement of electrons is what we call an electric current. And then another physicist by the name of James Clerk Maxwell came along and predicted that just as changing magnetic fields can create an electric field, a changing electric field can create a magnetic field. This discovery unified electricity and magnetism into a single theory of electromagnetism, which is one of the fundamental principles that govern how light and other electromagnetic waves work. Later on down the road, this then led to the study of magnetoreception or magnetism. And while electromagnetic waves themselves do not directly cause magnetoreception, the changing magnetic field within an electromagnetic wave can potentially be a factor in how some animals sense the magnetic field. So, the continued study of electromagnetic waves eventually led to the discovery that animals and bacteria were affected by these magnetic fields. In 1965, Wolfgang Chocacho, I don't know. It's displayed on the screen. He wrote this book with his wife, if you're interested. And Frederick Merkel provided the first experimental evidence of magnetic sense in European robins. In the year 2000, he published a paper that theorized that cryptochrome, a protein in the eyes of birds, was the magnetic molecule behind this effect. Cryptochromes are blue light sensitive and have molecules called radicals within them, which are essentially unpaired electrons. Pairs of these radicals chemically react and spin in response to their interaction with the magnetic field, making it likely that birds can actually see these magnetic fields. But the research of this phenomenon that we know of as magnetism continued beyond birds, and in 1975, a man by the name of Richard Blakemore suggested that magnetite was a magnetic sensor in some bacteria. He named this type of bacteria magnetotactic bacteria, which is a type of bacteria that's known to migrate in the direction of the magnetic field. He tested his theory by using his own set of magnets to recreate a stronger version of the Earth's magnetic field, and he observed that when he moved a magnet around his glass slides under his microscope, bacteria from Cape Cod marsh muds would rush towards the magnet, and when he would spin the magnet, the bacteria would spin as well. This is a real video of that. So there are multiple theories about how magnetoreception and magnetism actually work within an animal's body beyond these studies and discoveries. Some animals, like sea animals in particular, sharks and rays, have electroreceptive sensory organs that can detect the magnetic field's electromotive force, which is the electrical potential produced by either an electrochemical cell or by changes within the magnetic field. These organs make them able to detect weak electrical fields and can convey information that is relevant for hunting, navigation, defense, and social communication. Animals may also use chains of ferrimagnetic materials, like magnetite, to rotate themselves to align with the Earth's field. Explained simply, ferrimagnetic material has tiny magnetic particles inside of its atoms, but they don't all point in the same direction, which results in the material having a net magnetic moment, which is described as the leftover magnetism in a material. If you add up all the tiny magnetic forces pointed in all kinds of different directions, the net magnetic moment is whatever is left after they cancel each other out. It shows how strong and in what direction the material acts like a magnet. For example, the mole rat uses microscopic magnetic particles in their cells to sense the magnetic field and dig deep down into the ground. The role of magnetism in biology deems quite useful. Earth's magnetic field, also known as the geomagnetic field, provides animals with different sorts of information, which can be used for different purposes in navigation, as compasses and as maps, and sea turtle, salmon, and a few other animals use these magnetic cues to navigate during long-distance migrations. My group decided to experiment on crickets. In our case with the crickets, I researched that studies have shown that when mole crickets are exposed to normal magnetic fields, they tend to burrow in a north-south direction, suggesting that they use the magnetic field for orientation underground. Since I personally wasn't there for the performance of the project, I looked into the effects of magnets on crickets and found that research suggests that when male crickets are exposed to the electromagnetic field, it increased the number and shortened the period of chirps in their mate call song. But it did not increase the sound frequency. Interestingly enough, the female crickets were more attracted to the frantic, seemingly stressed males than the male crickets' control subjects.
Early studies showed that one group of migratory birds, homing pigeons, used Earth's magnetic field for orientation during their flight because the birds could not orient themselves when the magnetic field was manipulated. Scientists also discovered magnetite, which is a magnetically sensitive material which lies in the brain of birds and fish that may be implicated in magnetic reception. Sea turtles use magnetism in long-distance navigation on the ocean. Experiments have demonstrated that their swimming patterns change when they are subjected to different magnetic fields. Magnetic tactic bacteria are organisms that orient themselves according to magnetic fields. Experiments with these bacteria show that they move toward the Earth's magnetic poles. Fish also use the Earth's magnetic field to help determine their migration patterns. Experiments have shown that magnetic fields do help fish navigate. Honeybees base their navigation on magnetic fields and associate certain fields with food in experiments. Ants also orient by magnetic cues, and studies have actually revealed that they can navigate through altered magnetic environments. On the other hand, large animals, including cows and deer, have been noted to align their bodies with a north-south direction, which suggests that they could be sensitive to Earth's magnetic field as well. Ongoing research has continually attempted to explain how animals detect magnetic fields, and furthermore, how this ability influences behavior and migration patterns. Animal magnetism in medicine involves using magnetic fields or forces to treat animals or even study their health. One common use is MRI, which helps vets take detailed images of animals' internal organs, bones, or their tissues. It's a non-invasive procedure, and it's helpful in diagnosing problems such as tumors or even joints. Another application is magnetic therapy, where magnets are helped to treat pain or inflammation in animals. For example, horses with joint pain may wear magnetic wraps to relieve discomfort and improve blood flow to those infected areas. Some pet owners also use magnetic collars or even mats, basically for the same thing. In veterinary care, magnetic particles are sometimes used to deliver medication directly to specific parts of an animal's body. This technique is known as targeted drug delivery, and this ensures that the medicine reaches the right place without affecting other parts of the body. Additionally, magnets are used in diagnostic tools to examine blood flow or detect infections in those animals. But overall, magnetism does play an important role in improving veterinary medicine, providing more accurate diagnosis and effective treatments for those animals. Today, animal magnetism is no longer considered a valid scientific theory, but its ideas still influence some modern practices, especially in alternative medicine. The idea of using magnetic fields for healing has evolved into magnetic therapy, which some people use to treat pain, inflammation, and muscle injuries. Magnetic devices such as bracelets, pads, and wraps are marked with claims that they improve circulation and pain. Many people use these devices for conditions such as arthritis, back pain, or chronic muscle discomfort, although the evidence supporting their effectiveness is limited. In addition to personal use, magnetic therapy is sometimes employed in animal care. Vets may use magnetic wraps or mats to help reduce pain and promote healing in animals, particularly horses, dogs, and cats with joint issues or injuries. While research into the effectiveness of magnetic therapy for animals is still ongoing, some owners do report positive results in terms of recovery time and pain management. Magnetic nanoparticles are another area where magnetism is used in medicine today. These tiny particles can be directed to specific areas in the body using magnets, making them useful for targeted drug delivery, especially in cancer treatment. Despite the lack of scientific support for some of the older claims of animal magnetism, its influence can still be seen in current medical technology and alternative treatments. The use of magnetic fields in healing, whether in humans or animals, continues to be explored with ongoing research into its full potential and limitations. For our experiment, we did want to test using ants, but we did find out that those aren't available to buy, so we switched over to crickets, and we wanted to test how differently they would react to different strengths of magnets. We have the elenco, ferrite, and neodymium, and the neodymium will be the strongest and the ferrite being the weakest. This is us testing the ferrite magnet, and there was barely any movement at all. This is us testing the ferrite magnet, and the elenco magnets did give a little more movement, but still not very much. The elenco magnet, there was a lot more of a reaction to the neodymium magnets, which did make us wonder if they would react even more if we put all the magnets together. Combining all the magnets was never a part of our experiment, but we did want to just see the effect on it. And not as many did come over to the magnets, but they did come over a lot quicker than any other time. The experiment didn't go exactly how we planned. We thought that there would be a little bit more of a reaction to each magnet than there actually was. We do believe if we possibly had 3 sets of crickets and were able to test all the magnets at the same time, that it would have had a lot more of effective results, or even using a different insect.